Hey everybody, Douglas Blair Roberts here, the Super Vader for 100, and of course the brown skin human coming back at you with another movie series review intro. My previous movie series review intro, whenever I uploaded to YouTube, for some odd reason, the newest, the Crush 40 upload of Sonic What I'm Made Of, their uploaded version for some odd reason has a copyright on it, and whenever I see, and the copyright is actually not a problem according to YouTube, but if I ever want to set this account up for monetization, it will be a problem. So I'm going to do a remade version using two non-copyrighted songs. Even though this is an intro for movie reviews and rants, the What I'm Made Of will from now on this channel will only be the outro, and I'll use one of the old school non-copyrighted uploads of Sonic What I'm Made Of. The intros will feature the Sonic Heroes theme, which I haven't used in a long time, and of course the iconic We Can that I use a lot now. Everywhere on every other platform, the intros, I will use the old intro. So with that being said, let's get started right now. Hey everyone, it's time for part one of my narration review of the 1994 live-action film Street Fighter. I did a webcam version on either my Doug8798 or Super Vader for 100 channels. The link will be in the description box below, as is the link to the much larger part two webcam
off-camera remake with an intro, with a musical intro and outro. Yeah, Street Fighter 1994 live action film. Despite the cheesiness and despite how bad this film is, this is one of my all-time favorite films. I remember seeing it for the first time in 1998, just randomly flipping channels, and I happened to land on the USA channel, and I knew there was a Street Fighter cartoon and an anime, Street Fighter 2, the anime film, but I had no idea there was a live action film, and this was 1998. This was 4 years after it was its actual released, and I was just flipping channels. And I happened to see immediately on the screen. I happened to see back then, back in the 90s, if I saw a guy with blonde hair, he didn't. Guile lacked. I mean, John Claude Van Damme lacked Guile's signature broom hairstyle. But if I saw a guy with blonde hair, a tank top, and a blue or green tank top and blue or green military camo pants with black or brown black or brown boots. It was Guile. If I saw a guy in a red military sailor looking commander outfit with a cap with boots, metallic shin guards and armbands and a blue cape, it's Bison. I immediately recognized John Claude Van Damme as Guile and the late Raul Julia as Bison when the film was opened up and the two were arguing on the quote unquote screen. I immediately recognized both of them, and I just couldn't believe it. And I couldn't believe it. And from beginning to end, the film was awesome. It was weird. Like, this particular adaptation of Street Fighter was weirder than the other particular adaptations of Street Fighter I saw before this. Because they had Balrog, who I could have sworn wasn't he a bad guy, and wasn't he a boss character in Street Fighter 2? He was part of the good guys. And Ryu and Ken were main characters. They had a powerful role, but they were mostly secondary and supporting characters to Guile's story, which those were quote unquote that's what was weird. That was what was weird. But see, it didn't bother me back then because back then I didn't know much about the Street Fighter lore like I do now. All I knew about Street Fighter back in the 90s was Ryu, Ken, Guile, and Chun-Li were the good guys. Everyone else was neutral, and Bison, Sagat, Vega, and Balrog, I guess Shadaloo, were the bad guys, and everyone was trying to stop Bison. Everyone was trying to stop, Bison. Didn't know much about the lore back then. Then I was confused on who was the main character. If you play the Super Nintendo version of Street Fighter, it's Blanka, Chun-Li, and I think Ryu on the cover, on the cartridge cover. If you, like me, you played and owned the Sega Genesis version, it's Guile fighting with Bison on the cover. But in the games, it looked like Ryu is first. Ryu and Ken appear before Guile. Appear before Guile. Like I just said, Ryu and Ken appear before Guile and Chun-Li. But Chun-Li and Blanka made it on the Super Nintendo before Ryu and Ken did, and Guile and Bison made it onto the Sega Genesis cover before Ryu and Ken did. So I was confused on who was the main character of Street Fighter. Each person's ending makes it seem like they could be the main character of Street Fighter. So I enjoyed it. Then when I got older and rediscovered it in the mid 2000s, I purchased it on DVD. and I still enjoyed it as much as I did. As I still enjoyed it as much as I did as a kid. Now rewatching it several years later, yeah, yeah. Starting in 2007, and especially now watching it, the film has definitely shown its age. The film has definitely shown its age, and yeah, I consider this a great 90s and 80s flick. It was a 1980s action film released in the quote unquote 90s. Released in the quote unquote 90s. As a good 90s and 80s action flick, Jean-Claude Van Damme action flick, it is phenomenal. Jean-Claude Van Damme Raw Julia action flick, it is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. However, when you compare it to the various things that were in the late 90s, especially the bigger budget early to late 2000s, and now the superior 2010s and 2020s, film is atrocious and one of the weakest and worst adaptations ever. One of the weakest and worst adaptations ever made. I see what they tried to do. Steven N. D'Souza, the director of this film, he saw previous adaptations like Super Mario Brothers and Double Dragon, and decided he didn't want a martial arts fantasy film like those. He wanted a Die Hard Commando, Universal Soldier, Jean-Claude Van Damme style action, Jean-Claude Van Damme G.I. Joe style action flick. And in my opinion, if Steven D'Souza wanted to make those, he should have left Street Fighter alone. Him and the people behind this movie should have left Street Fighter alone. You should have made a tournament movie. People would have bought it. And he claimed he wanted to show a lot of the fantasy moments, the Hadoukens and the special maneuvers, because the previous two movies, Double Dragon and Super Mario Brothers, had that. But Street Fighter was way bigger and way better than Double Dragon and Super Mario Brothers, and people would have bought it in Street Fighter. It shows with the next adaptation, Mortal Kombat. That got some negative bashing too, but that was considered, for the first time ever, that was considered the first good martial arts. That was considered the first good video game based movie, and they stuck as close. They changed a couple of things, but they stuck as close as possible to the video games, to the quote unquote video games. And it sucks how the the 90s underground B movies were more Street Fighter and more Mortal Kombat than the actual Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat films. That's Shoot Fighter Part 1 and 2, Don the Dragon Wilson's Blood Fist 1 and 2, Heat Seeker 1995, Heat Seeker 1995, and Super Fights, the pro wrestling martial arts of movies, and many more. These were more Street Fighter and other Jean-Claude Van Damme films like Lionheart, and The Kickboxer and Cyborg were more Street Fighter than the actual quote unquote Street Fighter base movie. Even Jean-Claude Van Damme's other film, Universal Soldier, which is his version of Terminator, was a much better representation of Street Fighter than the actual 1994 Street Fighter film. So that's the issue I have with Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's the issues I have with this film. The second problem I had with this film was the lack of special maneuvers. The lack of special maneuvers, and the fact that the characters, apart from when they were fighting each other or weak bison troopers who were cannon fodder, these people felt like ordinary people. They felt like ordinary people with martial arts and hand-to-hand combat skills. Hand-to-hand combat skills in the games. They're these superhuman martial artists who are capable of smashing cars, bricks, barrels with their bare hands and feet. Balrog killed Dhalsim's elephant with a punch. With the quote-unquote punch. So, and you don't really see much of that in the film. You see special maneuvers, but you see special maneuvers, but you don't see much of what I just quote unquote saw. But that's all that's all. And the new challengers, the original 12 Warriors, their adaptations are pretty cool. The original 12 Warriors, but the new challengers, that's DJ, Fei Long, Cammy, and T-Hawk got it the worst. T-Hawk, the guy said T-Hawk was his least favorite, so that's why T-Hawk was the way he was. Fei Long got it more. They said they want Fei Long in the film. It's two reasons. One is copyrights, and the other they felt he was too generic to be in the film. So they supposedly mixed some of Fei Long's origin with Ryu's origin. Ryu's origin in this film is closer to Fei Long's than it is Ryu. And the actual Fei Long, Captain Sawada is just an Asian version of Guile in this film. Captain Sawada. Then you got but they say they wanted someone generic. Well, with Captain Sawada, you created someone even more generic, just an Asian version of Guile. Then you got Then I mentioned T-Hawk. T-Hawk, he's just a Native American version of Guile. And he lacks most of the muscular build from his video game counterpart. Then you got Cammy. Cammy is the best of the new challengers in this but she's just a British female version of Guile. She lacks her cool, complex story from the Street Fighter video games. And but she's the best of the portrayed awesomely by actress pop star Kylie Minogue. Who else is in this film? Then you got who else? Bison? No. Ryu? No. Bison? No. Ryu? No. Who else is in this film? Oh yeah. Then DJ. I love DJ in this film, Miguel Munez, but I hate how they, number one, decombated him, and number two, they stuck him with Shadaloo. They stuck him with Shadaloo and made him the Microsoft guy. But I do like how at the end he changes into something similar to his video game counterpart, but they should have had as much as I love Balrog's characterization in this film, Balrog should have been with Shadaloo, and DJ should have been with the good guys. It should not have been decombated to be nothing but the Microsoft guy. Yeah. But other than that, that's all the quote unquote bad. Now they're good. As a good film, I thought this was a good alternate world Street Fighter. I like how they switched up the rivalries. In the game, it's Ken and Vega. And here it's Ken and Sagat and Ryu and Vega. When in the game it was Ryu and Sagat, Ken and Vega. Here it's Ryu and Vega and Ken and Sagat. That was a great change in rivalries, and I enjoyed their interactions and various fight scenes. Next, Raul Julia. I think they should have got someone younger and healthier to play Bison, but Raul Julia did a good job, and he has the most memorable portrayal, and he's the most memorable thing in the MVP of this film. The next MVP of this film was Andrew Bryanowski, the Texas Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. In my opinion, one of his best roles. He killed it as Zangief, and this film is the only version to do Zangief justice. The only version to do Zangief justice. J. Tavar Vega, the other MVP, extremely close to his video game counterpart. Vega, Chun-Li, and Gao, for the most part, apart from a couple of changes here, are the closest to their video game counterpart, as is quote unquote Zangief. They're for the most part and all their actors and actresses did a great job, good job. Fight choreography, it could have been better, but it was good for what it was. I thought the final fights in Bison's lair, the biggest one, Guile versus Bison and Ryu and Ken, versus Sagat and Vega. I thought that was good. I thought that was good. It could have been edited better, but I thought those were good. I like how they tried to edit their. I like how they tried to edit their signature maneuvers into the fight. Yeah, and who else? Who else in this film? So yeah, awesome soundtrack with songs by MC Hammer, songs by MC. Oh yeah, with songs. Oh yeah, with the Street Fighter song by Ice Cube and the Straight to My Feet song with MC Hammer, which plays in the outro. There's even a longer music video featuring featuring actors and characters from the film. And despite this film being bashed by moviegoers and critics and video game fans alike, it did gross 3 times. It did gross 3 times its budget, and it led to a lot of my favorite things. Number one, the very awesome movie video game, which was even better than the movie. It gave us more of what the movie should have gave us. It was at least closer to the Street Fighter lore than the movie was, and the cartoon, which in my opinion corrected and fixed while emulating the movie in various areas, corrected and fixed most of the stuff and got it closer to the video games that were out at the time. So yeah, this was the Street Fighter live action film. I'll talk more about the story, plot in the larger webcam part 2 portion. So yeah, you don't hear the rest of the music. Turn the video off right now.